G'day guys, so this week I had a phone call and yet again I got told that all the airflow meters on a 1UZ are the same. Funnily enough it's not, and it's because people don't have the right info. In front of me I got 4 different airflow meters, all off 1UZs, and today in this video I'm going to explain a little bit about them so that you've got the right information and you know which airflow meter to use on your 1UZ or 3UZ on the later ones. I'm going to do the really quick version. I'm going to bout through them and then I'm going to come back and we'll do the more detailed version for those people that want the detail. I'm Calvin from the Cartoon Company. Pretty much all I do is 1UZs, aftermarket computers. I do the odd LS, but primarily I do 1UZ and 3UZ conversions. If you like this video, click the like button and subscribe to my channel if it's the sort of info that you want. And there's lots more coming up. So, the quick version. Alloy body, plastic sensor. That is a Gen 1 airflow meter. If you don't know what a Gen 1 or a Series 1 1UZ is, there's another video coming up in which I'm going to do preps on a Gen 1 and a Gen 2 side by side, because I've got both of those engines about to be used on 2 different conversions. And I might even bang a 1UZ VVTi next to them, maybe a 3UZ. There's 2 different versions of 1UZ VVTi as well, so I'll explain that. And I even go right back to a 131 Crown. Still takes that airflow meter though. So that's your very first of them. Up until about mid-94, we run that airflow meter. Okay, they're getting old and crappy, they fail all the time. If the ECU throws a fault code 31, airflow meter. And group injection on the computer, so it needs to be matched with computers that do group injection. 4 injector outputs. Next one. Plastic body. For the Series 2 or Gen 2 engines, the sensor is part of the body, as you can see. And that was used from 94, about 97. So non-VVTi, Gen 2 sequential injection computers use that one. Both Crowns and the Celsius LS400s use that one. Next one. 20 series or 151 Crown, first of the VVTIs. So it's this sensor here. I've just got a couple of airboxes, so that's a rounded type airbox, or they have a square type airbox. Sensor itself, so 1UZ, the early 1UZ VVTIs with the bigger coils. If you don't know about the coils on the 1UZs, I've got a video on that. That was used from mid-97 and through to about 2000, around about, on your 1UZ VVTi. The last of them, and I like this one, little tiny cartridge. They swapped to that one in around 2000. It also fits the 3UZs, so that runs the same one. Really common, fits lots of other Toyota cars, and they were really cool because what they did is they just changed the size of the body, run the same sensor, so there's heaps of them available. I nearly swore, I nearly had to edit that swearing out. And easy to work with. Interesting note on those, pinouts are all different. So if there's any more information you want on airflow meters, watch the long version before you go asking me questions. I get bombarded with questions, and a big part of this videos is so that if people do ask me questions, I can flick them a video, they can watch it, come back to me with good questions when they've got a bit more knowledge. So for those of you that want a bit more information, part of the reason I made this video was, and the reason I make a lot of the videos, is I've had a week of people ringing up about airflow meters. I had a vehicle last week, a white Hilux, that was in the video of the biggest mistake, wiring mistake on 1UZs. So in that ute, it had kept throwing the code 31 for an airflow meter. I've had another phone call about it from a guy with a Daimler, and he suspects an airflow meter problem, lots of smoke, lots of black smoke, and the airflow meter is like the primary thing, the primary sensor for fuel delivery. So it measures the airflow going into the engine. From that, the computer then calculates how much fuel to put in. So if your airflow meter signal is way out, then your mixture is going to be way out. I'm not going to explain the exact operation of the airflow meters. There's plenty of other videos for that. So I had another phone call and a job that I'm actually wiring. My camera sitting on it at the moment is for a high-ace van. It's a late model, post 2005, getting a 1UZ VVTi. And so that really sparked this video. The man sent me a picture of the airflow meter he was supplied. So this is a post 2000 1UZ VVTi, and the dismantler sent a photo of that airflow meter. That's not going to work. And I looked at it and I was considering which computer to use, and I ended up at that airflow meter matching the computer. However, he sent me a photo through of the van, and I was hoping to link into the van's wiring, and the plug for each of those, the 3 plastic bodied airflow meters, the plug is the same. Yet every single one has a different wiring diagram, different pinout, which we're going to go through in a moment. So I was really happy to find out that the high-ace airflow meter wiring matches the 1UZ, so I can tap into the factory position on the wiring loom, plug in the airflow meter that he's going to install correctly. He'll watch this video and he will get the right one. I'll even put part numbers up for you guys. It's going to plug in and it's going to work beautifully, so I'm really happy about that. So let's talk about the first one. Moving right along. So your plastic airflow meter sensor, but your alloy body. That's your really early ones. So it started in 89 with the 131 crown, moving into your UCF 10 Celsius, your UZZ 30s, the early. You've got to be careful on these because they do flip through a few different airflow meters on the UZZ, on the Soras SC400s. Some of your Ristos, but all your Gen 1 engines. So they're the ones with 4 injector drives grouped into 2 pairs, or each injector is grouped in pairs to fire the 8 injectors. The part number, now it's really interesting, the part number on the sensor is 22204-24011. Now I'm going to plug that into Toyo DIY. Toyo DIY is an amazing resource for everyone, and if you learn how to use it, it's greatly helpful for listing and seeing what ones different models that they fit. The Toyo DIY was based on the Toyota parts ordering system. I also have the genuine Toyota one, being access to the New Zealand Toyota system, but I still often refer to Toyo DIY. So I'm going to plug that number in, and you'll see it come up on the computer screen that it doesn't actually list as being a part number. So that part number again is 22204-42011, and you'll see that sensor comes up as not being present. That's because Toyota don't list it as just the sensor, they sell it as the whole body. So if I look at the whole body and I plug that part number in, I was able to find that. That one, as you can see on the screen, is 22250-50010. So these are a Karman Vortex airflow meter. You'll see them listed for LS 400s, SC 400s or Sora. They also fit that sensor. You can also get that sensor out of some 7M Supras, I believe. It's a 7M Supra. They have a smaller body though, hence the different number, but the sensor itself is the same. They've got a honeycomb in them, and that you must retain that honeycomb if running the airflow meter. They've got quite a small plug on them. You can have a look at that plug. I have a lube. So one of my looms is hanging on the wall here, which I've just dropped on the floor. Airflow meter plug is out by the igniter plugs on this one, and she plugs in. I've also written out some pin diagrams and part numbers, and we'll pop that up on the screen for you to look at too. Just between when I'm talking, I'll just randomly throw it up. That might help you a little bit if you are looking at them. So I don't normally work on colours, but on this particular plug, and now looking at understanding Toyota pins, you'll actually look on the plug and they generally have numbers. Has this one got it on there? Yes, it has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll have a very quick look at that, shall we? So just along the top of the plug, no, you can't really see it. Oh, we can see the colours there. Now, I don't normally work on colours. We've got a brown. We've got a yellow with a black stripe. We've got yellow with a green stripe. We've got blue with a red stripe. And we've got brown. So looking at those plug configurations. So pin number one, if we're looking at the back of the plug, is right to left. So that means when you look at the plug from the front, it's left to right like a book in the Western world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from the front. I always work from the back, and that's where the numbers are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you're looking at a wiring schematic, it has the pin numbers. It has on the sensor. So that, and certainly on the diagrams that I sell, as part of my instructions, they're labelled up. So the first wire being brown, that is E2. That goes back to the computer. It's the earth for the next wire, which is THA, airflow, the air temp sensor. So the airflow meter contains an airflow sensor and the air temp sensor. The next wire being yellow-green is the actual airflow meter signal, which is KS. Now these are quite unique in the sense that they are a Kalman vortex airflow meter over the others, which are a hot wire. The next wire is the 5-volt signal, and that's listed on the early ones and the later ones. It's configured as VC is the configuration. And the last wire is an earth, actually goes to the back of the block, so that's E1. So it's also important to get that direction correct, as I said. So there I put an arrow on it, so it goes in from the square end. There's the air box, air from the air box into the square end, onto the flexi hose going to the engine. You can just change the sensor, and there's also an arrow on the bottom of it pointing in the right direction, so that's important to note. So moving on to the next meter, which is funny that we call it a meter because it's only like 150 long. Guys would love it if that was a meter, wouldn't we? So again, we have an arrow on the side of it, so it's on the front. I can colour it in. So these press into the airbox on this funny little rubber seal, travel through the meter and are bolted on. They've got a bit of flexi pipe. The holes are where the air goes in, so that designates where the meter goes into the meter. The part number on this one, and again we'll look at that Toyo DIY, and it actually comes up. So the part number is 22250 50060. We might do another video one day on Toyota part numbers so you can help understand which you can change and interchange, swap around. Plastic body. Sure, I had some verniers here. We're looking at the diameter of the body going in there. You turn it on. Around about, well, it does vary a little bit. You see it starts off very small, actually where the sensor is, at about 65. And where it goes into the engine, we're closer to 80. But there is a big bit in the middle, which is the restriction of the sensor itself. I have seen guys try to change these sensors around and wind different ones. They will run on a 0 to 5 volt scale. However, they don't seem to have fantastic results in many cases. So I always try to match it correctly. The plastic body one, this one, is for the UCF 20 models, or the Gen 2, Series 2 engines. So that's a non-VVTi, but a sequential injection computer. So UCF 20 Celsius, the last of some of the Soras, SC400s, Aristos, but anything with the sequential injection computer, so 8 injector drives and non-VVTi, we use that airflow meter. Again, if you're not sure on Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, VVTi, I'm going to do another video on that because I've got 2 jobs using a Gen 1 and a Gen 2. I'm going to stack them beside each other. We're going to do some awesome videos on them, providing I get enough time. Cambouts on both of them, cambout changes, cambout differences. So I've got quite a bit planned there, because how often do we get to line up all 4 different engines through to 3UZ and have a comparison. So that one was used from approximately 94 through to around about 97, mid 97. Different models again are going to change. I'll put the part numbers and the pinups on the screen, so if you are looking at it, you can pause it on that bit and look at the pinouts. Listed it all on that bit of paper there, as you can see. Now the pinout of this Gen 2 airflow meter, we start off on this one with plus B, which is a 12 volt signal supply. The next one is VG, so that's the 0 to 5 signal going back to the ECU. Then we have the air temp sensor, THA. Then we have E2 and earth back to the ECU for the air temp sensor, and E2G, which is the earth for the airflow meter back to the computer. We'll just have a very quick look. I've got the plug here on the last of the airflow meters, and it plugs into the first of the VVTIs, and it plugs into this one. And that causes a lot of confusion when, of course, they're all the same. But they're not all the same. They all have a different part, all have a different pinout, all have a different part number. So it's going to mess up your signals, body sizes, differences in those bodies. So it's going to give you grief, and they get messed up, and I see so many that have the wrong airflow meters, so be really careful. Just because it plugs in doesn't mean it's right. Always match them up. Right, moving into the next generation of airflow meter. So this is the first of the VVTIs from 97 to about 2000. The first of the VVTIs are a bit funny because they use a coil that's quite unique to them, and they use an airflow meter that doesn't fit many other models. So we'll bring up the models that this one fits. As you can see, the models, there's a few, but not a whole lot. It also fits some Camrys, a couple of Previa vans, but the sensors are a little bit harder to find, but they are out there. If you don't get one with your motor conversion, it does give you a couple of options, not heaps. And they're a little bit pricier than the next one, so I really like that next airflow meter for that very reason. The part number on it is, and we'll bring it up on the screen there, is 22204 200110. So 20010. The pinout on this one, and now we've got different airbox sizes. So we've got a square airbox. Pretty sure that was the Crown. Some countries sort of see a Crown as an Aristo or a GS 400. And then we've got the round one, which is, I believe, is the Celsius one. Sensor is the same. The sensor is in a plastic body again. I've actually been struggling to find a lot of those bodies. In fact, often I can't, so I've made up some adapters, and they fit in. We do have a direction again. Have a look at the direction. So there's our direction. And you can see it's got like a little Battlestar Galactica spaceship underneath, again with the holes in it for the airflow into it, so it's important that they go the right way. I've got the arrow in there. The factory unit, you can't get them wrong because it's got the airbox, and then it's going through the sensor. when we're doing a conversion, if we get the whole airbox and we just want to use the housing, we just slice that off very carefully and attach it to the air filter as we see fit. Again, a 0 to 5 volt. So the pinout on this one, we'll bring that up on the screen. Again, working from 1 to 5. We start at THA, the air temp sensor. We move to E2. Then we go E2G, which is the earth for the sensor, going back to the computer. We've got plus B, which is a 12 volt, and VG, which is the signal itself. So that one is for the first of the VVTIs. Okay, both UZS 151 and UCF 2021 Celsius. But just a note on them, the last number just is a different designation. So a UCF 20, I believe, doesn't have air suspension. UCF 21 does. So that interchanges. And on the airflow meters, the very last number is just a supersession of the part. So you can interchange, like this one over the first of them. Sometimes they're a 42010, and then they're an 011. So the 011 can interchange an 010. That's a bit of a tongue twister. If we look at the body size of this next one, we're around about 75, 76 millimeters. So if you're building them, you can either just buy mine, or if you want to build them, distance is critical, the diameter is critical, and the position of the sensor is critical, as well as the direction of the sensor. If you go bigger in the body, you will have a lower voltage because there will be less air passing through the sensor, and you will reduce your mixture. If you go smaller, you will end up with a richer mixture. And that's exactly what Toyota did on the last of these airflow meters. And this one's fantastic. I like this airflow meter. What Toyota did is, unlike that last one, which only fitted a few models, the late model one fits heaps of models. And what they did is, for a little 1300 or 1500 Yaris Echo, they made a small body. More body, it's a smaller engine, changes the signal appropriately, calibrates it up to suit that engine. And as they went up to the 1UZ and the 3UZ, funnily enough, the sensor fits both of them, we end up with around about a 74 millimeter body, 73.5, it's measuring up here, 73.5, and a really common sensor. So these are cheap as chips, okay? They're really easy to get hold of, fit lots of models. If you go to a breaker's yard, or we call them a wrecker's yard, dismantler, you're gonna find heaps of cars with them in. So it's cheap, it's easy. This fits the second generation of the 1UZ VVTI. So that's the one with the small coils. I did a video on coils, so refer to that one. And I will do an identification video coming up. And they fit the 3UZ. So that sensor does both of those. So it's awesome. And a lot of late model ones, I'll bring it up on the screen again. We'll have a look at other models that it fits, and you'll see, like, that's the first 100 cars. It's got heaps of models, so really, really great little sensor. The part number is 22204 22010. Now that is really, really close to the previous one, but this one is 22, where the previous one is 20. So one number different, but if you get that one number different, it's going to make a huge difference. And again, we've got a different pinout. They managed to do it 3 different sensors, 3 different pinouts. So this one, looking at the pinout, so pin number 1 plus B, which is in the same position as the 20 series, the early ones. Then we changed to E2G, which is your earth airflow meter. Pin 3 is VG, your signal back for your airflow meter, 0 to 5 volts. The next one is pin 4 is THA, the air temperature sensor. And then we have E2, so an earth for the air temp sensor. So that sensor I really love. And as it turns out, the pinout for the sensor in the high-res van I'm doing is correct. So all I have to do is run the wires from the ECU to the same body plug on the high-res van, because the airflow meter is located further forward in the vehicle. Match those up and it's going to work. It's just going to plug in, away we go. And I'm really happy about that. Bit of a close-up on the airflow meter. So we have the arrow. We got part number there. You can see that plug. I've written the part number. There's the factory arrow. And I've written the part number there for the sensor. So this is the Gen 2. Here we go, we have the arrow and our part number. And there's the plug, and the factory arrow has been coloured in. Here's a close-up of this sensor. It's pretty hard to get this one wrong because there's an airbox in the way, so it has to go this way. It does have an arrow on it. Where did I find that arrow? Oh, it's a little one. It's a little one over here. There it is. So there's the little arrow for direction. And you can't put that sensor in wrong on the factory one. So a little bit of a close-up on the sensor. And again, hard to get that arrow right, that direction wrong. We have an arrow. We have an arrow here. So from the airbox, heading to the engine. And there's that sensor. Again, that same plug. This is actually the plug that matches that one. So similar to other Toyotas, I do the plugs brand new. So guys, hope that's been helpful sorting out the mysteries of the airflow meters and matching them to the ECUs on the 1UZs. So guys, if you do want to match check your airflow meter fits your ECU, Toyo DIY, punch in the ECU number, trace it back, find the airflow meter fitting in there, and it's on the airbox page, and you can double check that airflow meter is the right one. On each of my instructions, I also have the correct airflow meter numbers for each ECU. I hope that's been helpful. And of course, if you did enjoy this, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, possibly if you've got to this point, you'd like you to subscribe. If you're doing 1UZs and you've managed to go through all my details. And we'll catch you again on the next one. Talk to you later.